This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. And an easiest way to say it with a helmet on might be, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening. I'm your host as always, a little bit different tonight if you're watching the show. And alongside me, trying to compose himself, Mr. Austin Scott. What's going on, sir?
That's my gig. That is my thing. But I will say it is remarkably fast. The speed at which you were able to put that on in between the intro and us going live was impressive.
Listen, I came ready to play today, and honestly, this thing kind of came to fruition, within minutes of us going live here. I just thought about it, that this is sitting here in this location that I am, and I have to use it. And obviously, it doesn't fit me all that well, but here we are. A little surprise for the show today.
It looks good.
Hey, it looks good, except that it's like a size too big, and because I look like I'm looking down on it. For those who are on the audio podcast, they're like, what are y'all talking about? I threw on a football helmet right before the show started here, and it was just to catch Austin off. So let me rip this thing off.
Very, very fitting for this episode. So I
couldn't hear that. Whatever that snarky thing you just said was. What was that?
I said very fitting for this episode.
And let me cover that head back up too as well. Nobody wants to look at the shiny on that. All right, what a way to start the show. Different location for me. It is going to be a fun one as always. We have got so much to talk about, Austin. Episode 141 is the first home football weekend episode, and there's going to be a plethora of that we're going to be getting into, folks, this evening. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're ready to jump into all the football, the stuff around it, things like that. We are going to give you Auburn potpourri news as well, but got to get used to this new environment thing here, Austin. Now, let me explain why I'm here. And I didn't get permission to do this necessarily. I don't think they would mind. It would be ironic if they are watching this live. They could be. But I'm in a different location this evening because this weekend, our family was blessed with the birth of my niece, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law have had their little daughter brought into the world, and we are so excited to have another Auburn Tiger. And Austin, I'll be honest with you, I have already given her first Auburn gift straight from the plains, like today. Perfect. From Toomer's Corner in the drugstore back there. I got her a little have you ever heard this term, a lovey? Is this what this? I
have, yes.
Do you use this term?
We're past lovey stage, just into full-on stuffed animals, but I'm familiar with the term.
I don't know. I don't like the word. I just thought it was a toy. Apparently, it's got a name. Jessica told me. Whatever, like I was like, I'm just trying to get the kids.
The more you know.
The more you know. But we want to congratulate. I want to congratulate my brother and sister-in-law on the birth of their beautiful daughter, our niece, and we're going to spoil her rotten. And that is why I'm in a different location this evening. I am in the Birmingham area where they are, and they're gracious enough to let me, while they are still at the hospital wrapping things up there, letting me broadcast from here and use, helmets that randomly pop onto my head at certain times, which apparently this is coming with me home. I didn't know that I was.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I guess like a new uncle gift or something like that.
Sure.
Or it's just they're trying to get rid of stuff because they have a bunch of baby stuff now coming to their house.
Their lives and their space are about to be infiltrated. So it's probably a mix of both.
Which honestly, so here's the thing. Let me dive into this a little bit with you. I tried to go to the AU bookstore to get her something, and it was closed on a Sunday. I should have known that. I think that's typically the case. The bookstore is closed on Sundays, but I guess I assumed it would be. J&M also had been closed, and so that was unfortunate as well, because I was like, well, that's perfect. We'll just go to J&M. So Toomer's Corner, thankfully, had some baby things in there, and we were able to get that. I think it's kind of special, though. The heart of Auburn and what we all think about that. Her very first Auburn item comes from that sweet smelling aroma plate that probably still smells like it, to be honest.
There you go.
That's the way I like to think about it. So that's really kind of what's all on my mind in the Auburn space right now. Anything for you, sir? I mean, it's a lot this weekend.
A lot this weekend, a busy weekend. We'll get into all the things about the game and all about it in the first home weekend, but we had a full-on fun day with the boys. They got to go to the game, and we got to have a full-on Auburn day. Kyle is very familiar because we often run into each other on our game day walks.
And we did this week just in a different location.
That's exactly where I'm getting at. We did not partake in our normal game day walk this year, or this first opening weekend, but instead we went to see the Auburn University marching band's practice and rehearsal on Saturday morning. That is always open to the public and to go see, and plenty of people come and observe that. But this was my first time getting to go. And I did run into Kyle there. He threatened to take my Auburn card when I told him that. But
very disappointed.
It was our first time. The boys are obsessed with the band right now. All the Obby songs, as they called it. They were not too happy with Dr. Sperlin every time he would stop them and make them redo something because they wanted to hear the whole song. But we told them this is where the magic happens and how the practice makes perfect. So I was just so impressed with just the amount of students, for one, seeing it like at field level.
Yeah.
Is very different than watching from the stands, and obviously seeing all the hard work that goes into it, seeing how meticulous they are, and they are there for a very long time to rehearse for one shot during the game. And it's very impressive. So hats off to them, and we'll be back for sure. But just a very, very impressive morning, and they looked absolutely stunning that night as well.
Yeah, if you've never done the morning prep, morning practices for the marching band on home games, you definitely should take it in at least once. Keep in mind, it's when that happens is based off of when the kickoff is.
Right.
I would recommend you go to if there's a night game, you go to that one or else you're going to be there really early in the morning.
Yeah.
9 to 11 is when this was supposed to be going on, and they go through the full pregame routine, which as the year goes on, it's more just a run through than anything. Cause it's this first one, what you got to see was probably pretty cool. Cause it was more meticulous.
Yeah.
Hey, your line here's got to be better, more crisp than that kind of stuff.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry. In that note, I was shocked because Dr. Sperlin's way up in the tower, right? Just like you would think of a football tower, and he's calling by name.
Yep.
By name individuals. And we were with some friends of ours, of a friend who used to be a majorette, and she said, "Oh, he's got flashcards with pictures, and he knows everybody's name."
Yeah.
And he knows where you are, and if you're not doing something right, you'll hear your name over the intercom, which is, I thought, was incredible. But it was very, very cool to see.
It's the level of meticulous commitment that they have to this, and Dr. Sperlin has as well, and the rest of the Dr. Gross, the rest of the other staff, everybody in leadership, and all the students as well. You can tell they really care about it. So definitely go check it out if you've never done that. And I'll tell you, having seen several of these, especially the first ones over the last several years, only saw about half of the practice because I've got places to be, as most of y'all saw on game day. Kyle's going around everywhere, but I felt like this one was more crisp at the very start of it than I've seen lately. And maybe I'm just biased because everything was just, we're all in a good mood after last week and everything like that. But I just felt like they got off to a great start already. And I think it showed up on their field. Maybe they feel differently. They have higher standards than me. But for me, it looked great. And definitely, I'm glad you guys got to experience it for the first time. It's a really cool thing that everybody should be doing. More of that to come, obviously, in the home weekend stuff that we got to talk about. But let's get the show started off with a little bit of Auburn potpourri, all the other Auburn news that we need to spend a little bit of time on before we dive into the main topics this evening. I want to start us off on, I don't want to call this a bad news item or discussion, Austin, but it's certainly one of those things in a week where football is in a good place, leading into what would be and should have been an easy game. A different sport took center stage later on in the week through some commentary from men's basketball head coach Bruce Pearl. He was attending several events, some fundraisers, and usually what happens is they allow some time for the media to speak with them and ask questions at some of these things, and this is one of those cases. And so not only did he get interviewed at the event, he also appeared on John Rothstein's podcast. I believe it's a show and a podcast, and got interviewed about the season and upcoming stuff like that. I'm going to condense what was said, Austin, and please, you check me if I'm incorrect or saying too much or too little. Essentially, some of the questions were asked about his future. And one of them was, how long do you see yourself doing this? And he basically said, not much longer. And then another time he was asked, does getting back to the Final Four drive you even more to be back there and get to the national championship? And his most direct answer was no. But if you continue to listen, you also heard him say, I'm just as motivated as I was. Getting to a Final Four again doesn't like increase that desire for me any more than it already was. So once again, I want to caution folks when we talk about this, when you hear those things, when you see those clips out of context, it can be very challenging for the psyche of an Auburn person. But this is something that's been happening, Austin. We've been hearing conversations, rumors about Bruce Pearl. Does he have other aspirations? What's his future? All of that. What do you think? I mean, did what you heard or saw this week change your feelings about the situation?
No, I don't really think anyone should be that surprised by this. Bruce Pearl is certainly an older coach in the league. He's been doing this a very long time, has accomplished a lot. So him, saying these things doesn't surprise me. I think the one of the exact sentences I saw was, I have 5 years left on my contract. I don't see me getting to the end of that contract, which I certainly didn't shock me. I think we've all known this is kind of the trajectory of where it's headed. Is he's been at Auburn now over 10 years, over 11 years. And that's a long time at one place, but then you add all his other coaching experience and it makes for a pretty lengthy career. So no, I'm not surprised. I still think he definitely has the fire. I think that he still definitely has a will to win and a desire to win, but I think he's also pretty set on making sure he has a legacy set up, and I think he certainly does at Auburn. And he's been, very vocal about how ready he thinks Stephen is. And I think that it's kind of all about setting that up and setting up Auburn for the future here now. Not to say that he's going to coast it out, but I think that that's just where we're at and he's at in his career. And that certainly doesn't shock me.
Right. And I think you teed up a couple of great points that I think we need to emphasize there. One, let's talk about what we know. Bruce Pearl has a contract through 2030, which was billed at the time as a quote unquote lifetime contract, meaning it was an extended amount of time and it was going to get him to an older age, which he is, approaching very rapidly. So I've gotten a lot of these questions about, well, what do you think is going to happen and all this stuff. I'm like, well, first of all, folks, we're never guaranteed anything, but all we know is we have 5 years guaranteed left in terms of a contractual situation. Auburn can end it, he can end it, but that's the only thing we can go off of. So I just didn't see any reason for anybody to be panicking about that anytime soon. Now, when there are rumors that once again are circulated during the summer, which once again, if you are buying into rumors and stories during the summer, you need to question yourself a little bit, because the job during the summer for media groups, and I'm going to say us as well, is to get you to click. We try to do it, and I think most people do in a way that's not disingenuous, but you have to remember, they know the Auburn family is a little bit, they can be sketched out a little bit easier because we've been through it, man. We've been through some stuff, good and bad. And so I think you got to keep that into perspective as well. I also like that you pointed out that there is what I have always understood, and I believe has been blatantly said at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, about a succession plan. I believe I have heard the words directly said and basically referred to, Stephen will take over from me from Bruce. Have you heard those before? Or am I just making that up in my head?
I don't remember hearing those directly from him. I could be wrong. You definitely, I feel like, consume it more than I do, as you should. But I don't think I've heard that. I think it's assumed by a lot of people, and probably rightfully so. It's probably like this unspoken thing. I don't remember hearing that, but I would be very shocked if it's not Stephen. I feel like I haven't listened to these entire shows all myself yet, but I feel like I also saw a clip that said from this week that said, he is certainly, Stephen would be someone I would put as a successor. I think he mentioned a couple others too, but no, I'm not surprised at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the plan, even if that said, going into whenever Coach Pearl's last year would be.
Right. And while we can't prove that necessarily, I specifically remember there was an interview where he said, he said it to this effect: one day when Stephen takes over like that, kind of, I don't know if he meant to say that or if it was a
Sure.
slip or something like that. But let me just talk about context, folks. It's always important. That's the buzzword here. He's been named over the past couple of years to the title associate head coach. That is the highest title that is given out these days outside of head coach in waiting. So usually that means that you are primed, you're ready. Stephen, to this point, has not taken in their job. I think he's highly qualified, such as Todd Golden was too as well. So that should be a sign to you that something's kind of brewing there as well. And, you know, I think there's other signs as well. He's done a lot of interviews that Bruce might also do. I've seen him appear. He was the very first one to appear on the Unguarded podcast with Keyshawn Hall, the Auburn basketball podcast. I don't think that's a coincidence, to be honest with you, because to me, you would interview the head coach first of the podcast about his thing.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one that made me think about it first is the three primary coaches that were given statements when on Auburn's release to go to Nike were Hugh Freeze, Butch Thompson, and Stephen Pearl. And that was the first thing I thought of. Now, could be a reason. I don't know it. I'm not in those conversations. But I think that only points me more to say it's probably happening at some point. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I think him being more in the limelight to make that an easier transition, it makes sense. So we'll see. People can have their opinions about it all they want. My opinion from the very beginning has been very much so of Bruce has earned the right to say this, in my opinion, or to choose this. At Auburn, he's earned that right. And so we'll just see what happens and when it happens.
My best advice is to you as Auburn fans. I know it's falling on deaf ears, but please don't worry yourself about this. Enjoy what you got. You can spend your life and your time worrying about what's going to happen, and you miss out on the joy of what's happening right now. Bruce is here right now. That's all you got. So take it and then run with it. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. My wife is literally rolling her eyes. If she heard that, she knows that's my favorite phrase in the entire world. But yes, we will cross that bridge when we will come to it. But that's at least the news on it for now. Let's talk about soccer really quickly, because certainly we want to give this the space when we feel that it's appropriate to do so. And right now, believe it or not, Austin, we're done with non-conference play. That went by fast, didn't it?
Very fast, very fast.
The Tigers are get out of non-conference play with only 2 losses. Their overall record is 4-2-1. So there's only 7 games in the non-conference play. Now, they did have those 2 exhibition games, which were wins to start off the season. If you want to throw in there, they lose to Louisville to start off the season, which wasn't a shocker, but it was kind of like one of those that's how a soccer match goes sometimes. Like, you can be the supposed better team and they'll just catch you on that certain night with just 1 goal. They lost 0-1. And then they lost to BYU out in Provo. But this is a team, Coach Armstrong said it best after the match, that would be at the top of the SEC, probably already leading the SEC if they were part of our conference at this point. And they only got 2 goals on them, and it was a close match the entire game. And otherwise, Auburn, takes care of business. They get a win out in Utah versus Utah Valley. They beat Kennesaw State, Southern Miss, Samford. So a pretty decent, I would say, and I'd say is strong for even in the losses, non-conference record for the Tigers. But I think the more important thing, Austin, here is it was a perfect way to cap off with the non-conference with a big milestone that they hit today.
Yeah, absolutely. Auburn soccer with the win over a 5-0 win today gets to go to 350 program wins all time. A pretty good stat and very cool to see happen kind of as non-conference ends, and there's a nice transition here to SEC play. So congrats to them. Obviously, that's a lot of those go to Coach Karen Hoppe. A lot of those
get to the Hoppe. Sorry.
But it's a good way I like seeing that transition in the James Armstrong era too, that this has been established and he's carrying the torch.
And I'm going to just play devil's advocate here. Maybe we lost those 2 matches, so the final non-conference game is the 350th at home. That's exactly what was happening. You probably felt like you might have a chance of losing to BYU. They were ranked number 11 at the time. I don't know where they're ranked currently. Maybe we just say, hey, Louisville, we'll throw you this one. We feel pretty good about the other ones.
Sure.
And then, look at that. It's the 350th win. There's Coach Hoppe with all the alumni on alumni weekend. I'm just saying, the
it all works like that sometimes.
It do be like that sometimes is what I hear the kids say these days, but
It do be like that.
it do be like that. But non-conference is over for Auburn soccer. Strong start in the James
There you
Armstrong
go.
era. There, we got it out. And then we'll obviously be talking about SEC competition as it gets roaring to a start here in the very beginning of it. I want to talk about this topic. It's not obviously something that's big news out there, but I want to encourage Auburn family members to engage in this. And you're going to be like, Kyle, we already give enough money to Auburn. And yes, I get you. You buy the tickets, you buy the souvenirs, you're doing NIL stuff, War Eagle Plus, but this is an opportunity for Auburn fans every year to give to something. And some of them actually are sports related. There are club teams that are going to benefit. It's Tiger Giving Day every single year. This comes out, and there's usually a website. I actually would have been prepared. I'd have it. Maybe it's tigergivingday.com. I don't know, something like that.
Feels like a good guess.
But just look up Tiger Giving Day, and then you'll be taken to a site, as it has in the past, with all the different initiatives and what it's going towards that you can give towards as a donation to help get their project completed, something done.
Tigergiving.org.
I can't talk today.
Tigergiving.org.
.org. I'm tired. Can you tell? It's been a long weekend. But go check it out and make sure that you find your project on there that you might be interested in. Some of the donations can usually be whatever it is. They have a goal that they're setting for. I always recommend, because I have such a strong tie to the Auburn Raptor Center, having once been a volunteer there, working with Burge for part of my career, that I always give to that. And so if you want my recommendation of what to give to, I would ask that our viewers and our listeners think about that as well. But just another way, Austin, if you're not tired of giving money already, that you could find something on there. I'm sure some of the club teams could use a little bit of assistance. And there are a couple other things on there as well that people can find.
Yeah, it's always a really big day. I'm always amazed at how many kind of things can they find and that can need extra assistance. These are not the groups that are getting paid millions of dollars to play football and things like that. And these are a different part of the Auburn experience, more on campus things. My personal tie is that you mentioned club sports, and I was a club sport.
I knew you were going there.
"Quote unquote" athlete. But it goes to a lot to be able to have Auburn club sports being a help, like travel expenses and things like that every now and then. So there's lots of opportunities on there. I was just scrolling through a bunch of them. So if you're able to and willing to, I think that you could definitely find something that would pique your interest.
You can support academics, you can support club teams, you can support other things like the Auburn Raptor Center. There is a wide variety of things, and there's going to be something on there that you connect with and you can give a small amount to and participate in Tiger Giving Day. And we hope that you'll do that. Obviously, selfishly, we encourage you to support the Auburn Raptor Center and whatever their initiative is this year. And finally, in potpourri, let's just do a quick little roundup here, mainly because Austin got to spend a little extra time this weekend out and about and got to go to the volleyball game too. Volleyball came back to town after their non-conference start on the road and had a victory against Jackson State. I got to pop in at the very end for a clean sweep of Jackson State. Good crowd there. I always encourage people, Austin, if you can, come to a volleyball game. They're usually tying very nicely with football weekends when they can. And it's so fun to go watch a volleyball game, even if you think that Auburn volleyball is going to dominate, and they did, who they're playing, because it's a fun sport to watch.
It's a fun sport to watch. You can get a really good vantage point. You can sit anywhere. You can literally sit in the nicest of seats if you want to. You can go sit at the very top. You can go anywhere in the arena. That's what we did. We took the boys and got to go sit in the blue seats for a little bit, and they got to shake their shakers and watch the balls and everything. And so really fun time. And it's a really good opportunity too to carry on to that if Auburn is doing what they should be doing and dismantling their opponent like they were with Troy the other night. It's a good chance to get to just walk around and see Neville Arena when it's not so busy, or when you're worried about missing the action of a basketball game or something like that. That's what the boys were getting restless, so we decided to walk around and see all the exhibits too. So definitely encourage you to check it out. It's a fun sport, and the girls are really talented this year.
Absolutely, and we're excited to see how they're going to bounce back after a year that was pretty, left a little bit to be desired. No, they know that better than anybody else. We don't need to critique them on that, but we're excited to see how their non-conference is going to finish out and more opportunities to go watch them. That's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. Lots to dive into in the main topics this evening. First, home football weekend, and boy, did it live up to the billing. I will admit, Austin, it got a little bit warmer than I wanted it to for the game day. Thankfully,
Agreed.
those clouds rolled in with a little bit of precipitation that wasn't very long lasting, but it got warm. And there was about, I think maybe about 1 o'clock when I was trying to go walk across campus to go get some lunch. And I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to make it through the day.
I should have asked you. I'm throwing you for a loop here, but you always tell us where your your culinary eating occurrences were. What'd you do this Saturday?
Well, to be honest with you, it's pretty boring because
you told me about your breakfast when I saw you in person.
No, that's true. I can talk about that. So let's start there and maybe
just quickly. Just tell me. I'm always
we're
interested.
good. Well, listen, we have a plan. Who says we got to stay to the plan here? So let's talk about it. My day started with going to Mama G's for breakfast for the very first time on a Saturday home football weekend. I think that's the best time to try Mama G's breakfast. And certainly
at the OG.
That's at the OG Mama G, the same, musty building. And it's not musty, but you know what I mean? It's got that certain feel to it, all that kind of stuff.
It's got the aura.
It's got, don't use that word. I will kick you off for using that word here. But I did try it. I didn't get a whole big thing. I just wanted look, what do I think of breakfast when I go places? Just a chicken biscuit. Can you do that right? And they can. So I'm like, sign me up. Another thing to throw into the repertoire of game day breakfasts. And you get to go to Mama G's. And folks, you know how busy Mama G's gets for lunch and dinner, rightfully so, on game weekend. So if you're wanting that feel, say you've been there, get your picture with the cup and the building, all that stuff, go to breakfast. Give it a try. Check it out because you've already done it once previously before, correct?
I was going to say not at the OG, but we have done it at the OG.
Well,
we've done it at other ones too. But yes, I'm a fan. I think the biscuit is good for me. This isn't the biscuit experience, so we won't go crazy here. But
for me, a show about that.
I could do it.
I could do it.
The key to making a good breakfast biscuit is the biscuit staying intact.
Yep.
Now I love Chick-fil-A.
Those
biscuits cannot stay intact. If they could figure out how to get that biscuit, and maybe it's Sunday night, so we'll do this. Maybe it's a perfect analogy that none of us are perfect and we all need a savior. And Chick-fil-A is just not perfect enough because they can't get their biscuits to stay together when you eat their chicken biscuits. And so it certainly is on par for Chick-fil-A to be able to relay that to all of us through their biscuits. But Mama G's, who I would not say is on the same level of Chick-fil-A in terms of spirituality, has their biscuits in a good spot.
We're just going places. And that's not us. I feel like I also need to chime in.
Can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen? We're not assessing people's spirituality here, but we're just saying it is the Lord's chicken.
It's Christian chicken, man.
And Austin is saying it lives up to the billing over there. So chicken biscuit for the win from Mama G's. We loved it. We think you will too. So go check it out. Let's talk some football. We'll get to all the other fun stuff and in terms of the entertainment, the halftime show, all that stuff in a second. But let's start with football. Coming back home for the first time in the 2025 season. Certainly you wonder what this would have been like had we lost the Baylor game. Now, in hindsight, that's a really big win considering what Baylor did to SMU this weekend. So just put that little feather in your cap, Auburn fans. But we come home and we get to, thank you for virtually putting it in your hat. I appreciate that. Playing along with my lame jokes. We have the opportunity to come home and just take in the excitement of being back together on stuff. But for the football aspect of it, you walk into a situation with Ball State, just the name Ball State, everyone thinks they're going to win, and that's usually the case. Even the Ball State fans we got to talk to this week, hope you guys got to check out the interviews we did with them. Ball State of the Union, great guys. They're very accepting of their fate as well, and the check that we submitted to them, which they continue to remind me of that would be happening. And it went about the way you expect it would. I think I had it in my hopes and vision that we would have gotten out a little bit quicker, a little bit further ahead from them, at least with more time on the clock than had happened. But it's one of those games. There's a lot of emotions, excitement to be back. The players are going to be a little maybe off at times too. But I once again, Austin, walk away with very few complaints about what we saw this evening. But don't let me put words in your mouth. What did you generally assess and stories that you saw from the game?
Yeah, I think, I echo a lot of the same sentiments you have about wanting to kind of run it up a little bit quicker, and be able to get out of there a little more handily to get guys in there. I also, though, caution people to think that just the final score is indicative of being able to dominate your opponent fully. I think when you look at the total yards Auburn gave up to Ball State, the completion percentage for Jackson Arnold, and different things, I think Auburn was showing you that what they were trying things out. I think Hugh Freeze even said it post game. Jackson Arnold's completion percentage would have been a lot better, and it was really good if they weren't trying to push some things and see what they had. Which is when you're up and playing an opponent like Ball State, who there's nothing against, but that you're paying to play,
right.
is that's the time to try it out while you can before you hit the meat of this SEC schedule. So I think Auburn, I have no complaints. 42-3 is certainly an acceptable score. I think I said 45-10 last week. So not super far off, but I have no complaints. I think there's a lot of people who probably do, and they're just looking at other schools around the league, as state, whatever, about the points they put up. It's not that big of a deal. It's one more number in the win column, and that's what I really care about. I thought overall, and I guess we can get into it a little bit, I was very pleased with the defense more than anything. That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see if tackling was made an emphasis, if they would take pride in making sure that they wrap them up and not let them get the extra yards that happened all last week. And that certainly was the case. And it showed in the box score, but also showed on the field and effort, I think, too.
Well, see, and we got different opinions even in the chat right now. Some people don't think the tackling was good at all, and I've seen it both sides. So it really just is in the eye of the beholder. What I thought was different this week in terms of the defense, and this is you segue this great into maybe grading it as well, was the ferocity with which we pursued the ball. Maybe there were some times that the tackling, wrap up, completion could have been a little bit better, but it didn't stick out as a glaring object to just focus on in this game. I think that was responded to. Coach even was asked about it in press conference this week. What are y'all doing differently, especially when you're trying to limit the amount of contact that your players are getting in actual practices? He said, well, we got drills that we do with the dummies and things like that to emphasize, those fundamentals and things that we need them to do better that didn't show up on the tape. And I think that did show up there. And I think that manifests itself in the ferocity, as I was saying, with which they pursued the ball. And it showed up in players like Xavier Atkins, who just had himself a game. He's not the leading tackler, but if you look at his stat line across the board, he was a terror. And it showed up, obviously, in some of the great plays that he had out there. This is why, Austin, I said folks are not giving him enough credit, because he had SEC talent coming in. He knows how fast and how, I keep using this word, much ferocity you have to be successful in this league. Yes, it was Ball State and not an SEC opponent, but it doesn't matter. You still play with that same level of intensity. That's a better word that I have to keep overusing. And I like that, what he did. So it's not just about Xavier Atkins. It's not just about other great players that were on that. And if there's anybody missing, and when you give your grade, certainly please do. But I last night think I leaned A+, just because I was on the high of the weekend. I'm going to back it off to an A, because I do recognize there are probably things we could have done better against Ball State.
For defense, or you're going overall?
For defense, that's a defensive score. So what do you got for the defense?
Yeah, I had an A. I'm not going to say that they only get A+ if they shut him out. I think they should have shut him out, because it was not because from any fault of their own, but that just one of the most horrendous calls I've ever seen.
I knew that was
the ball back. I don't even understand.
Come get your boys. That's all everybody was saying. SEC refs, come get your boys.
Unbelievable. But I think without that egregiousness, you see them shut them out. So, but like one of our faithful members, WT, said, it's hard for me to fully evaluate this team, and specifically in this case, I'm talking about defense, without seeing them in the SEC play what we're used to seeing and where you hold your standard against. But they did exactly what they were supposed to do against Ball State, and when you hold a team to the lowest yards since like the 80s,
that's a big thing.
That's a big deal. And it doesn't really matter who it is. So I think that deserves an A in itself.
Absolutely. And that's why I was thinking about that, the history of that. It ties into Pat Dye with Pat Dye recognition game, all that kind of stuff.
Very good. Yeah.
It's just good all the way around. So really A's is what we should be talking about on defense. Offense, I think the opinions are going to differ. If you look at a lot of the stats, Jackson Arnold lights out. In fact, as you already pointed out, Hugh kind of said already that maybe it could have been even better if they had made a few different calls for him or not asked him to do too much in terms of the deep balls that didn't get completed. Jeremiah Cobb, Darrell Robinson, everybody else. It felt like everybody in the running back room had a moment at times because it just took off again as the game progressed on and on. We threw the ball around a lot more in this particular game. I think last night when we were going through initial reactions to it, I was in like the B- range or something like that. I'm going to probably move up to a B+. The thing that knocks it back for me, Austin, offensive line play, I think could have been a little bit better at times with some of the sack situations. I think we had 5 total that we gave up in the game. Did you see it differently? What's your grade for the offense?
B+ is where I was at. I think like you said, and like we've already talked about, there were some things they were to throw it around a little bit more. We're trying to push. I likes though that we didn't just go deep shot after deep shot after deep shot just to see what we got.
Yeah.
I still feel like in a way they took what Auburn or what Ball State was giving them by the looks of different coverage. You saw a lot of the same out and dig routes to Cam Coleman or whoever was on that far sideline. If corner was playing off, they just took the yards that were there with clean throws. And then I like seeing the screen game, something we didn't really get to see a lot at last week at Baylor either. It's a B+, but like you said, I think the tackles and the guards, especially and on the edges, can help with that pressure. And maybe that was something that they were, also trying to figure out a different who they have where. But there were some times that some guys got blown up that just can't happen. And I think I still am very high on this offensive line. I think it's still very, up to par of contrary to what we've seen in the past few years. And so I think they can be better, but this wasn't the best game, especially just coming off a game where they did really, really well at Baylor.
Yeah, and then finally with the special teams too, I think it's a little bit harder to assess this one because there's no field goals made. There's one attempted, but the field goal kicker, which was Towns Magoo for the distance, while Alex is still getting his strength back, he hurts himself on the play. I haven't really heard a definitive update that I'm aware of yet on him, so I'm not even going to count the missed field goal against him because he had an ankle injury, I believe is what it was said over the radio at least initially. So that one I'm just kind of knocking to the side. Can't help that you roll your ankle or whatever it is because I've done that before as a kicker and it is rough. No punt returns, no kick returns for touchdowns this week, but I think there was a couple times we thought it might bust loose again. And then I think punting at times was maybe could have been better. I think Hudson had one that went off to the side kind of a little bit. Last week was so good with the special teams. That's what I think is making me want to drop it back a little. I'm just going to say like a B- because last week was so good. And I'm struggling to find the things that can reach up to that same level this week. You see anything differently?
I had it at a B. There's just nothing, like you said, that I'm going to knock them for that just because you couldn't really see a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Malcolm had the chance to break some and just didn't, just got tripped up or just, one missed block here, one missed block there, just didn't allow him to do it. I think he was very close. And like you said, only really 2 kickoff opportunities with after their field goal and after their when did they kick it off? After halftime. And so you don't get either of those, but nothing, blatantly terrible. Like you said, Towns's kick looked awful, but when you see him hobbling off and limping, there's not much you can do when you roll your ankle, especially as the kicker. So
here is the good thing that we should mention, and the coach talked about this post game. Chad Gibbs, the third guy, was brought in from Southern Miss. He was doing some great kickoffs after Towns went out, and Towns has been doing great on the kickoffs too. So don't let the missed field goal or the hurt field goal shy away from that. But it shows you we've got talented 3 guys that just One's injured, one's sick, and the other one is brand new. So we're just kind of having to put together kickers between the three of them. And hey, listen, I'll take 3 options because it looks like we need that the rest of the season. But there you go. There's some grades for Auburn versus Ball State. On to the next. Speaking of Auburn versus South Alabama, quick preview from us right here just to get us started. We know very little about South Alabama. At least I do. I'm not going to speak for Austin. Do you? Are you familiar with the Jaguars all that much?
They play in Mobile.
Great job.
Major Applewhite is their head coach. Their colors are red, white, and blue.
They're a Jaguar.
They play the Senior Bowl at their stadium.
Lad Peebles Stadium?
Sure. There you go. You got me on that one. I don't know.
I think that's it. Lad
Sounds
Peebles
right
Stadium.
to me.
We'll go with it. Just act like you know what you're talking about, Kyle.
Yeah.
So I think in Austin, we're trying to figure this out pre-show. I think this is our first ever meeting with South Alabama. Correct me?
Pretty sure. I'm going to try to do that research really quick.
And can we just point out that there's a certain other school in the state that refuses to play the in-state schools of any caliber or any division, or it just won't do it for some reason. I can't understand why that might be. It's almost like they're afraid to drop games that they shouldn't. Anyway, so South Alabama will be the next Auburn opponent in state that they take on. They've been doing Jacksonville States, things like that. It is the homecoming game. You're supposed to win your homecoming games, and we expect them to. You do not need to sleep. On this team, you do not need to sleep on this game, no matter how confident you're feeling about the offense, the defense, because if you do, Georgia State will happen. If you do, Missouri will happen to you. And that was a terrible Missouri team that year. It literally had to gift it to us at the end of the game. So hopefully we see at least a repeat of this week in terms of the results and margin of victory. I mean, what are you're sitting here almost a week out from it in your early prediction and thoughts phase? Where's your head at on this game and matchup? And then I want your score prediction.
Yeah. You hit on a lot of it, and a lot that I've harped on before is South Alabama's an in-state school that has lots of guys who grew up watching Auburn and Alabama, lots of guys who dreamed of playing Auburn and Alabama. And this is their chance to play in Jordan Hare Stadium. And it is for the first time ever for South Alabama. And so it's going to be a big deal for them. It's not, it's an 11:45 morning game. It's homecoming.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but you did it.
It's going to be a lot of things going around that could take Auburn's, you got A&M the next week out in College Station. There's going to be a lot of things that could take Auburn's focus off of South Alabama, and I don't think they should. They lost a close game in week 1 to a really good Tulane team, who a lot of people are picking to be the group of 5 participant in the playoff. And then won their first game this past week at home, I think. So there's certainly a lot for them to play for, and certainly all the money in the world that they're getting from Auburn is not the only thing that they're looking to come home with. And so I think that it's going to be a good game, a tough game for Auburn to focus on, but one that they should definitely pull out and handle accordingly. I'll take Auburn winning over South Alabama. I was going to say one thing. I'm not going to say.
It's difficult because you have a full week ahead as opposed to last week.
Right. Yeah. It's not as much fun. I'll say 49-13.
49-13. So a little bit closer than this last week. Maybe they actually have a legitimate shot at scoring and not given to them by the refs. I wasn't,
That's right.
We didn't have to get into that too much tonight, but I'll acknowledge that for the defense. That was very frustrating. I will give my score predictions on the prediction show on Thursday. Hope you all are able to join us, but we put Austin on the hot seat each and every time here. He's called it for you, though. 49-13 Auburn wins over South Alabama. We know they're excited about it. You should be too, because it's homecoming week and there's a lot of good things to happen, even when you have to sit in the scorching sun in September for a homecoming game. Make it make sense, folks. I'm going to end that before I have to go on that tangent again. All right, let's talk about the rest of this home football weekend. We have dove into the game. We have given grades for all of that, analysis of that. Let's put it to the side. The rest of this, I think, Austin, and the football stuff was good too. This is all just the fun things of being back home, the new stuff. I want to point this out, and I think it was a total of 20, maybe I'll just call it 20 plus things that Auburn put out this week telling you what's new coming to Auburn, to Jordan-Hare Stadium, to the Gameday experience. If you didn't read all of that, you probably missed out on some of the things. We're not going to be able to touch on all of them, nor are we going to try to. But there were some really neat things that we all got to experience here. Let's talk about the look of things, and that can encompass a lot of things, Austin, like seeing the championships listed on the stadium and outside as well. Acknowledgement of the 9-time national championship Auburn Tigers and the new SEC championships acknowledgement as well. Pat Dye Recognition Day, a new video board, new gates. So you take it wherever you want us to go with like the new look of things and the new things to enjoy, because that's only a part of what there was out there.
Yeah, man. So I can pick anything.
You get this is free game for you. You get the choice of topic on that. There's no wrong answers.
Wow.
Maybe.
Okay. So I'll go into this because we haven't talked about it much. We went and saw the what do you call them on the outside of the stadium where they've put the years and the Heisman recognition.
I will call it
what
the arches. Let's call it the arches, gate arches. Maybe.
The gate arches.
Are you talking about?
Are we talking about the same thing?
I don't know. Describe it again.
Like they're blue, the blue
Yeah.
rectangles, with the years of national championships on them.
Right as you enter the stadium.
Yeah.
I think those arches.
Gate
maybe?
arches.
I don't know.
This is what I think of arch. It's okay. It's okay.
We're just listening. Our geometry is a little different.
I asked you, so that's on me. I'll just saw. It's not as pretty, but I'll say the new fancy Auburn billboards up there. They got
billboards.
Look,
Okay.
I was not as excited about them when I first saw that when they were going up because I really liked the pictures of old. Now I didn't like them when they were black and white,
they were
and
old,
grainy.
school. Yeah, okay.
But I liked the having images up there instead of just like big numbers. Now I will say, because we went and walked around once they started going up. And just the campus walk, and it was light outside. Seeing them in the dark, I liked them a lot better because you had a little bit more of the, like there's some images sublimated in the back and it looks a little more design fun. So I do think those are a good addition. I like that it's backlit and that you can see everything really well. I think it's good kind of change down there. Looks clean and cohesive with Auburn. I think it could probably last a little bit longer too than those old images that they had. So a little bit more staying power. That's kind of my first like initial observation of a thought of something new that's around. I also, if we're in that same vein, because I'm kind of working from outside in, did you walk over by the student center at all where they've extended the gate out?
No, I did see it, but it was a very quick pass by in the 1,000 places I was trying to be on that day. And just as a quick aside here, I am going to try to spend a little bit more time, probably not next week, but for the Georgia game, on some of those improvements on the outside and get more photos and just talk about it a little bit more on social media for you all, because as we're talking about here, there's too much to cover just in one weekend.
Sure.
But I at least got to see that. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, but it's not the student side that's pushed out with the actual gate structures, right?
No, it's like student side, yes, as in that half of the stadium, like on the green space side, but it's not the student gates. It's I think that's 1 through 4, maybe gates 1 through 4, closest to the north end zone.
And that's normally where the visitors go in too a lot.
That's
where
correct.
You get a lot of that congestion that happens over there. So yes, I did see that.
We went in that way. Our seats were way on the other side, but we just were there. It looked like an easy line, and we went in that way. And I think that's a big enhancement as well. Just like you said, you just alluded to with congestion, spreading that space out with security and then the ticketing, made for easier walking. If you've been, and I'm very interested to see when we get to that Georgia game on how much of it helps, because I think it can. When we were walking up the concourse on the other side, on the Neville Arena side, we were where we would have gone in if we hadn't walked in and gone all the way around. We were looking down at the gates there, where the lines kind of spill into the road right there in front of Neville Arena. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of people. Just like ants jammed into one little spot. So you can't obviously extend gates on that side. There's a major road there, but I think that where you could and where they did it was a good call.
Yeah, I was wondering what you would think about that, and certainly the true test will be for like that Georgia game.
Definitely.
We'll see. So it'll be interesting
With a lot of road fans too.
Yeah, so maybe I may try to actually go in that way and just see what it feels like with that type of traffic over there.
You're gonna get barked at.
Yeah, we probably will be. But that concourse area, I didn't get to walk through it during the game on the north end zone. The new structure that supports the video board, we'll talk about in a second. That is just ginormous now, and it's like you know that what's the movie? Help me, Step Brothers. So many room, so much room for activities.
That's so much room for activities. Yes. So like I just said, this is good. Kind of moving in that direction. So we went in right there, and I've talked about this before, but our seats got moved all the way around. We're all the way under the press box now. But we just went in right there because the line was easy, and we had the stroller because we had the boys, and the stroller drop off over by us is on the other side. So we went around that way, which was good because I got to see the north end zone part that I was really excited about. But then my seats aren't there anymore. And we got to it though, and Emily was kind of leading the way, and I was like, Emily, look at all this room. Like you said, so much room for like there was so much space to just move, especially with our Cadillac XL stroller we got. That it was awesome. And for a big game, like it reminded me a lot. Stay with me here. Reminded me a lot of Plainsman Park, where they've added space to just eat out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Under the new suites area. That's just spreads everything out, not near as congested, gives you a little breathing room. Now obviously that'll all evolve and change and probably become even nicer as they build that structure out, but oh my goodness, man, with how congested it used to get out there, that's the theme right now, I guess, is just thinning out that people has been a good thing so far.
Well, and the idea is if you want expansion, that means you've got to figure out how to manage all of the expansion of people that are going to be in there. So this is the stepping stones, and this is why we continue to call for patience. Those of you that scream every time there's an update that's not exactly what you want, just wait just a second, folks. There are ways to get it. And you saw on the video board, again, segue into the next part of this, the future expansion project. That is the beginning stages of it to support the new giant video board. Austin, I'm going to be honest with you. I knew it was there. I did watch it sometimes.
Agreed.
But I kept looking at the big one.
And, I know.
And you're now sitting on the other side too. And it's not because you can't see it well or anything. It is high up there. You know, it feels. I'd be interested to know if it's actually higher than the big video board, the South End Zone one. Because at times the angle I was like, I think that one's technically a little bit higher because of future expansion projects. But it ties in so well. And while you may not like the gaps in between the support right now, patience, folks, you can see what's being left open there for the future or possibilities. But in terms of having that there for the sound, the displays, the shows, in just a second, I think it looks pretty good, all things considered, with the gutted look that it has right now.
Yeah, all things considered, I look forward to seeing it finished out. I think we all do. Look forward to seeing how it fits in and kind of maybe fits a little more naturally. But I thought it looked good. I love that it was a perfect match of what you're going to see on the old board, so that you know it doesn't matter where you look. But I'm with you. I was sitting, like if I'm looking right here at the field, I'm facing the corner. The board is right here to me. Like I just have to turn about this much to look at the board. Not near as much as I thought going into it. I thought I'd be kind of looking like this. But I was more like this. And I found myself still doing that, even though I could do this and look at the same thing. And I think it's just habit right now.
It's muscle memory. That's all
it is. I think it is. I like that it was exactly the same. So I could remind myself, hey, you're going to hurt your neck if you keep doing this. You can just do this. And so
the other thing
it'll get there.
The other thing, think about it this way. If the play's on the north end zone and you're turning around to look at the south end zone the entire time, you kind of doing this number the entire time. True. Now when you're already facing this way, you can, if you're looking for the replay to see when they call a bogus call that gives their drive going so they can score points finally, Ball State, you actually don't have to jerk it back and forth. Anyway, it's great to have it. There's more to come with it. It's a great addition, and look at all the segues here. I know technically we should go in sequence, but we'll save the band for the last here. The fourth quarter show, folks. I'm going to be honest with you, Austin. I was a little skeptical about it because I just said, hey, it's fireworks. Hey, it's lasers. Hey, it's music. Hey, it's going to be swag surf again. We all know it's coming. Sorry, Dalton. Dalton, I think, is said pretty openly that he's like, can we do something different? But look, everybody loves it. The fourth quarter show lived up to it and then some, and it's only proving that from the amount of people that have viewed our video, other videos about that we filmed it. I truly thought I didn't get the best angle of it all for you, and I've got a better idea how to get a different version of it. But from the sequencing with the fourth quarter video, the pyrotechnics, the fireworks, the lasers, the Musco sounds, all this, everything, Austin. I know you weren't able to stay long enough with the boys to see it, but you've seen it through others' eyes, through videos and stuff like that. You've got to stay and watch this thing. I cannot imagine. I will know shortly what that Georgia game is going to be like. With the crowd pop for that is going to be unheard of for that fourth quarter video. I told Kyle pre-show, and I'll tell you all now. We had to leave. We called it while we were ahead. Literally, and with the boys, that after halftime, when they got to see their band again, that we'd go home. So we did, but I mean, like, as soon as the fourth quarter started, and after that show had ended, I had people texting me like, "What was that?" Like, "Oh my goodness." My dad texted me like, "Did y'all see that? Are y'all still here?" My friend Corey texted me like, "I don't know what I just saw, but I just had to protect my son because he was just shaking his head everywhere." And so then I start seeing the videos. I see our video put out by Kyle first, and then you see the videos Auburn's putting out of kind of their recap it with some drone in the sky, I guess, to see it too. That was a cool shot.
Very cool shot. And so just really impressive stuff of all they were able to pull off, and really just put all their toys on the table, right? And show what they've been working on and do everything.
For Ball State, too.
For Ball State.
We had a ball.
We had a ball. That's right. And so
that was lame.
I saw today, I'm going to skip over it. I saw today that our Paris Buchanan, the senior associate AD at Auburn for fan engineering, was kind of replying to some people saying, "Oh my gosh, how awesome was this for Ball State? Like, what about for Georgia?" And he said, "Now we might have some extra tricks up our sleeve, or a few things planned for that one." So can you imagine just when it gets to be, I'm just telling you right now, Kyle, if that thing's tied or a close game going to the fourth, we've already talked about on the previous show all the things that are going on that weekend. But if Auburn's in that one, oh boy, oh boy.
And let me add one element to it. Cam Newton, after he just had his jersey retired, coming out of the field to lead swag surf.
I mean, it's going to be nuts. But for them I'm so glad they got the chance to go ahead and do it for Ball State and just like give people a taste of it. Because let's just be honest, next week the fourth quarter is going to be about 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and it's not going to have quite the same effect as when it's broad daylight and we're all sunburnt and dying of 80 degree sunburns.
When Kyle's thighs are roasted and toasted and red all over, like
we're not going to really care about seeing the fire anymore. I'm just going to be honest.
The fire will be here.
The fire will all have already felt like we're on fire. And so to give us that little taste though, and we all know Georgia's coming down the pipe here in a month or so. It's going to be cool, but they had their toys and they were ready to show them off.
So many toys, and that's just we don't even have time to touch on the rest of the things that happen. Maybe we can if something pops up on future episodes. That we're just covering the half of it, and that's just the big things there. Real quick to end on just the home weekend stuff, we got to acknowledge the band, as always, doing an outstanding job.
Absolutely.
You did a great job of talking about experiencing the band practice in the morning. One thing that we highly recommend you do for a great Auburn experience. But obviously, we're able to record the band shows for you guys. Please, I always encourage this too. They have a YouTube channel as well. It's actually pinned on our channel too. Go support their videos as well. We're not in competition with them. We're just simply getting our own version, so you have different takes on it. And they probably got more toys and stuff to go with it too. So go check that out when they're able to put their videos out there. But we're providing those to you as well. The show, go ahead if you had something.
I was just going to say the band played Crazy Train, and it was awesome.
Well, did you like that?
It was awesome. I was a big fan. And just like you knew it happened, but the natural crowd going, it was just it's perfect.
It was good. They obviously did a tribute to Ozzy, did a formation for him. Now, I know people's got different feelings about him, the person, all that stuff, but you can at least appreciate the work and the songs. Everybody loves at least the tune of Crazy Train.
How can you not?
It's awesome. And so that was a nice touch, a nice little tip of the cap. It didn't make it all about Ozzy, but he gets a formation. You get the tip of the cap with the song joined together, the nice melody to end off the show. You can watch that on our video. But the whole show's called Inside Out. It was about the different range of emotions. And that's how you want to end it, with a song like that, and remembering the great songwriter like that in that way. This wasn't a light show by any stretch of the imagination, because I thought, I had in my head that they had announced that. And so it wasn't underwhelming or anything like that to me. But I guess when you're going into a night thinking, oh, this great fourth quarter show, they're also going to do that and things like that, I'm sure they still have that up their sleeves coming down the pipe. But overall, it's another great addition to the Auburn Band repertoire of shows, and something that I guess we'll get to see it at least one more time. I'm not sure if they'll do the same one for Georgia. Maybe they will. We'll find out in due time, I think.
Who knows? Yeah, I think you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they switch it up, but by then. But I do, Kyle, I know we're running late on time. I do want to bring up this one thing LB said. 25th anniversary of the Eagle flying is this year. I did not know that coming into it until the logo showed up on the screen. Very cool and very crazy to think that it's been 25 years of it. But we'll be able to talk about that throughout the year, and I'm sure they'll do something extra special as well. But 25 years of the best tradition in college football is pretty awesome.
Absolutely it is. And certainly I have a special connection with that. And we're going to talk about the Birds whenever I get a chance to, because I love me some Auburn Raptor Center, having once volunteered there and gotten to see the behind the scenes of all of that. No, I did not get to hold the War Eagles, but I was there assisting in other facets of it, the not so glamorous facets of it, but it was still good work and good opportunity there. So support the Raptor Center. You can do that on Tiger Giving Day. Support by checking out the videos that we put out of the War Eagle flights, and then just get your butts in the seats for celebrating 25 years of War Eagle flights. We didn't cover it all, Austin, but we did our best. The home football weekend, it is done, and we move on into the season. We want to hear from you all, as always, about this show, about any other content we have out there. You can hit us up, E2CNetwork@gmail.com is our email. Direct messages on social media. Mine is Kyle Loomis, @KyleLoomis24. Wait a minute, that's a different one. Yeah, I think that's it. Just find me on somewhere on X or something like that. Where are you at?
At Austin G. Scott, so you can let me know all your opinions and hate mail that I won't read about how my jokes are lame.
I have to read all of it, so you're welcome. I'm your secretary. I get rid of all the things. Really, it's all directed at me, Austin. But everyone talks lovingly about you, except when you lose us games with your attendance,
which haven't happened in over a calendar year. But we won't go there.
There's many more moons to go, my friend. We'll see if that old stigma returns. With that being said, that's episode 141. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.